For 9 decades, there have been plans to connect Long Island and Connecticut, with the earliest idea dating back to the 1930s.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Dennis House. Straight ahead today, could the answer to easing congestion on Connecticut's busiest highway be this, a bridge to Long Island?
A new development tonight in the plan to build a $50 billion bridge connecting Bridgeport to Long Island, and plans for a 14-mile bridge connecting Bridgeport to Long Island are generating new interest tonight.
Pull up a map of Long Island Sound right now. See that narrow gap between Long Island and Connecticut? That's 14 miles. Now here's the kicker. We've built bridges over longer distances, tunnels through mountains and highways across deserts. But this 14-mile gap? It's been 70 years of planning and not a single shovel in the ground. This $55 billion bridge plan is tearing the region apart. New York is turning against itself, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's get started.
So I'm here in Bridgeport. I want to get to Long Island. How long could that possibly take?
To Long Island.
2 hours by ferry, a couple of hours by car, maybe even 3 hours. They want to bridge that gap between here and Long Island.
Let's talk about Long Island. Nearly 3 million people call this place home. It's got beaches, suburbs, Billy Joel, and a traffic problem. But here's what makes it interesting. Long Island has a single gateway to the mainland by car, and it runs directly through New York City. That's right. Every single road connection goes through the chaos of New York City. During rush hour, the Long Island Expressway transforms into what locals affectionately call the world's longest parking lot. The commute from eastern Long Island to Connecticut can take 4 hours, to travel about 60 miles.
Doesn't make any sense that someone from, the South Shore from Suffolk County has to drive all the way into Queens through the Bronx if they want to get up to New England.
An hour drive can turn into 2 hours just in traffic.
And here's the nightmare scenario that keeps emergency planners awake at night. What happens during a major hurricane, when 3 million people need to evacuate? Look at a map of Long Island Sound. At its narrowest point, Long Island and Connecticut are just 14 miles apart. That's nothing engineering speaking. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel is 23 miles. The Channel Tunnel between England and France is 31 miles. Not to forget that China's been building 100-mile bridges every other year. A direct crossing would be game-changing. That 4-hour drive to Connecticut? Cut it down to 30 minutes. Suddenly, Long Island isn't isolated anymore. It's connected to New England, opening up job opportunities, tourism, and economic development. Plus, you'd have a critical evacuation route that doesn't rely on New York City's infrastructure. It's such an obvious solution that you'd think it would have been built decades ago. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. And you won't believe the reason why. The dream of bridging Long Island Sound isn't new. In fact, people have been talking about it since 1955, when the legendary and, let's be honest, controversial urban planner Robert Moses first proposed it. Robert Moses was the guy who basically built modern New York. He constructed highways, bridges, parks, and beaches with an iron fist. If Moses wanted to build something, it got built. But why was this never built? Before we get to the real facts, if you like and would want more infrastructure deep dives like this, hit that notification bell before we continue. Moses estimated his Long Island Sound Bridge would cost about $800 million in today's dollars. By modern infrastructure standards, that's pocket change. For context, New York recently spent $4 billion replacing the Tappan Zee Bridge and that's just 7 miles long. But Moses' plan died. It was too controversial, there were too many opponents, and by the time the political winds could have shifted in its favor, Moses himself had fallen from power. The idea went dormant for decades until 2008, when a private group proposed a tunnel instead of a bridge. Their price tag? $10 to $13 billion. Still, that proposal went nowhere. Then, in 2017, the engineering firm WSP did a comprehensive feasibility study. And let me tell you, they didn't sugarcoat things. Their conclusion? A crossing is absolutely possible from an engineering standpoint. The price tag? Well, that's where things get spicy. WSP looked at 3 main options, each with its own price tag. Let's break them down one by one. First up, the all-bridge solution. Picture a 14-mile, 6-lane bridge going across Long Island Sound. Think Golden Gate Bridge vibes, but longer. The estimated cost stood at $16.5 billion. Now, $16.5 billion is obviously a lot of money. But in the world of mega infrastructure projects, it's actually the budget option. Boston's Big Dig cost $24 billion. California's high-speed rail project is projected to cost over $100 billion and still isn't finished. By comparison, $16.5 billion almost seems reasonable. But here's the problem. Bridges can be seen. And when wealthy Connecticut homeowners can see something, they have opinions. Okay, so if people don't want to see the bridge, what about hiding it? Enter option 2, the all-tunnel solution. We're talking about twin tunnels running 150 feet below the seabed. That's deeper than the Channel Tunnel. These would be some of the longest underwater tunnels ever built, burrowing through bedrock beneath one of America's busiest waterways. Sound expensive? You have no idea. The estimated cost was over $55 billion. So let's see what option 3 brought. So we've got 2 visible and 2 expensive. What's behind door number 3? The hybrid solution, which is basically a combination of bridge and tunnel. Think of it like Virginia's Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, which we'll talk more about later. You'd have bridge approaches on both ends, which are cheaper and easier to build. Then in the middle, where the shipping channel is deepest and busiest, you'd dip underground into a tunnel. So we've got 3 feasible options. The engineering isn't the problem. So what's stopping us? Oh, buckle up. This is where it gets interesting. First, there's the environmental concerns. Long Island Sound was heavily polluted for decades with industrial runoff, sewage, you name it. But over the past 30 years, there's been a massive cleanup effort. The water quality has improved dramatically. Even marine life is rebounding. Now, imagine proposing a massive construction project that would repollute areas that took decades to clean up. But the environmental concerns, while legitimate, aren't the real killer. The real killer is NIMBYism.
Honestly, in my life as a New Yorker, I've never heard one person bring it up and say, darn it, we need this. People don't want it, it's not needed.
NIMBY stands for Not in My Backyard, and Long Island Sound is surrounded by some of the wealthiest communities in America. These folks have 3 things: money, lawyers, and an absolute determination to keep their waterfront views looking nice. A massive bridge would be visible for miles and bring traffic to quiet coastal towns. On the Long Island side, the proposed landing point is Port Jefferson, which is a charming village with a ferry terminal, local businesses, and residents who moved there specifically because it's quiet. They're terrified their town would transform into a truck stop, with traffic pounding through 24/7. And let's be real, they have a point. Anyone who's lived near a major highway knows what it does to a community. Then there's the political angle. Both New York and Connecticut would need to cooperate and commit billions in funding. And here's the thing about politicians. They love ribbon-cutting ceremonies for projects that will be finished during their term. But for a project that costs $40 billion and takes 15 years to complete, that's not any good. You know what's easier than building a controversial megabridge? Not building a controversial megabridge. Just kick the can down the road, let the next governor deal with it, and hope nobody notices. But here's the conspiracy theory that actually makes sense. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority, or MTA, doesn't want this bridge to exist. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority operates several toll bridges connecting Long Island to the rest of New York. Every day, hundreds of thousands of vehicles pay tolls to cross the Throgs Neck Bridge, the Whitestone Bridge, and the Triborough Bridge. We're talking billions of dollars in annual revenue. Now imagine a new crossing that bypasses New York City entirely. Traffic would be diverted, toll revenue would plummet, and the MTA would lose billions. There's never been an official statement saying, "We're blocking this project to protect toll revenue." But come on, follow the money. The MTA is already drowning in debt, and they're not about to support a project that would affect one of their most reliable income streams. Here's the frustrating part. We know this can work because it's been done before. Let's talk about the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel in Virginia. This thing is 23 miles long and is longer than any proposed Long Island Sound crossing. It combines bridges, tunnels, and artificial islands. It crosses one of America's busiest shipping channels. And you know when it was built? 1964. And here's the kicker. It's been a financial success. The tolls generate enough revenue to maintain the structure and fund improvements. It hasn't destroyed the Chesapeake Bay's environment and hasn't ruined Virginia's coastline. It works. Traffic volumes have grown so much that they're now building a parallel crossing to add capacity. If it was such a disaster, why would they be doubling down?
The idea is to connect Connecticut to Long Island, to grow Bridgeport, to make everyone's lives more convenient.
There's a Connecticut developer named Stephen Shapiro who's been pushing this project for years. His latest strategy? Going straight to the top. He's pitching the Long Island Sound crossing as a major federal infrastructure project. The logic is sound. It would connect two major population centers, boost regional economic development, and serve as a critical evacuation route. That's exactly the kind of project that could qualify for federal infrastructure funding. If the federal government covered most of the cost, suddenly the political atmosphere changes. New York and Connecticut wouldn't have to commit tens of billions from their own budgets. It becomes a lot easier to say yes. Another option? Create a dedicated bi-state authority specifically for this project. Think of it like an independent agency with bonding authority that can finance construction through toll revenue. But here's a wild card that's gaining traction. Forget the car bridge entirely. Build a rail tunnel instead. A 16-mile rail tunnel connecting Long Island to Connecticut could cost half as much. Estimates range from $15 to $25 billion. You'd have high-speed rail connecting Long Island directly to New Haven, Hartford, and Boston. The travel time from Long Island to Boston could drop from 5 hours to 2 hours. A rail tunnel would have less visual impact, would be more environmentally friendly than a highway, and would actually address the region's long-term transportation needs better than more car lanes. Because let's be honest, if you build a 6-lane bridge, it'll be congested in 20 years anyway. Induced demand is real. So here we are, a $55 billion bridge that makes perfect sense, that's completely feasible, that would solve real problems but will probably never get built. The The Long Island Sound crossing is a perfect case study in why America struggles to build major infrastructure anymore. It's not that we can't do it. We built the Hoover Dam during the Great Depression. We have sent people on the moon. The Long Island Sound crossing isn't dead. It's just in limbo, where it's been for nearly 70 years. And unless something dramatic changes, it'll stay there. So here's a question to think about. Which matters more? Protecting the views of a few thousand wealthy homeowners, or connecting 3 million people to the rest of the country? Let us know what you think in the comments.